Tony Evans looked at the clock hanging from the wall for the 5th time. The hands had just reached 12. He looked at the spread on the table and wryly smiled. He knew she wouldn't remember today was his birthday and didn't know what he was expecting. He stood up and was about to throw away the dishes that had gone cold. That was when he heard the sound of someone entering the passcode at the door. Tony paused. Linda Jones walked in, leaving the cold wind behind her. She looked tired and was holding a bag. After entering the house, she looked up at Tony and then placed the bag on the shoe cabinet. "Happy birthday. Sorry for coming back so late. I had to work overtime. Try and see if this fits." With that said, Linda made a beeline to her bedroom with her head down before Tony could say anything. Tony stood where he was for a long time before walking over to the entrance, as if accepting his fate. When he saw the brand of the clothes, he couldn't help but sneer. It was a high-end custom brand from Franca's. There was only one store in Chiria. From the brand alone, Tony had to admit that Linda had put in quite some effort. However, he never wore clothes from this brand. He didn't even need to take the clothes out of the bag. Tony could tell from the color alone who this set of clothes belonged to. After standing at the entrance for a while, Tony whispered with his head down, "Thank you." After that, he placed the bag back where it had been. Linda didn't see the dishes that had gone cold on the table. She didn't even ask whether Tony had eaten or not before walking into the bathroom. Before she did so, her phone rang, which made Tony feel exhausted deep down. "Hello, Michael. Yes, I'm home. What's up?" At that moment, Tony felt like all the energy had been drained from him. He was exhausted. He and Linda had been married for 5 years, but the time they had been together didn't even add up to 10 days. She was either in meetings all the time or she didn't care about him at all. That moment someone knocked. Tony stood up and went to open the door. That was when he saw his mother-in-law. "Mom." Tony's voice was very soft. He stepped aside to let Linda's mother, Vera Jones, his loving mother-in-law, into the house. "Linda's back, but she's having a shower right now. Let me get you a drink." Mrs. Vera saw the dishes on the table out of the corners of her eyes, and her heart couldn't help but ache. She grabbed Tony's arm and led him to the sofa to take a seat. "Tony, have you thought about what I said to you?" Vera saw the exhaustion in Tony's eyes and her heart broke for him. His eyes were even a little red. "Mom, I agree." Vera nodded. "We had used our favor to ask for something in return from you. But a good thing is that it's not too late to fix the mistake." She looked at the bedroom where running water could be heard and said softly, "After the divorce, it's time for you and Linda to return to your own lives. Alas, it's all my fault. Why did I agree to the marriage between you and Linda?" The marriage between Tony and Linda was more like a deal. Back then, when Linda hadn't graduated from university, she had been in a very passionate relationship. She even gave up her identity as the daughter of the Hanna family for that man. She wanted to be with Michael Hall no matter what. During their elopement, they were involved in a car accident. Tony's mother was also one of the victims of the multiple vehicle collision. Tony was also nearby. He ran to the scene and dragged his mother out of the car and also saved Linda, who was trapped. On the other hand, Michael had left a long time ago after being saved by passers-by. It was said that Michael had been caught by the members of the Hall family and sent abroad overnight. From then on, he and Linda had never seen each other. Tony hadn't expected Linda to bring up the marriage. After the car accident, Tony's mother, Esther, suffered multiple organ damage. A lot of money had been spent, but she wasn't recovering. However, the people Linda's family did everything they could to help Shona recover. They helped with the hospital transfer and made appointments with experts in related fields. They also paid for all of Esther's medical bills. The day when Linda brought up the marriage, his mother Esther had suffered from excessive bleeding again. Tony didn't want to ask for Linda's family's help, so he used his scholarship funds to pay for the medical bill. But it still wasn't enough. At that moment, a hand reached out from behind him, holding a bank card. "Use my card." Tony turned around and saw Linda. Unlike the terrible state she had been in when she was first rescued from the car accident, At that moment, Linda was extremely beautiful. Tony said after a short pause with his head down. "I'll pay you back." "No need," she said and gave it to him. After making the payment, Linda waited outside the operating room with Tony for 4 hours, until Shona's life was no longer in danger. Tony Evans, #1 student in the School of Medicine at the University of Lagos. Your father cheated on your mother and left with all your family's savings. Your mother has poor health and has been involved in the car accident. Linda talked about Tony's life as if she were reading it from a book. But the next second, Linda's eyes turned red. The hand that she grabbed Tony with was cold and she was trembling. It was as if she were putting her life at stake. "Will you marry me?" It was an absurd request. But when Tony saw the tears in Linda's eyes and thought of how her family helped him, he was convinced that this was a deal. But he had lost the right to say no from the start. Only after a long time did he find out that on that day, Michael, who had been sent abroad by his family, had gotten engaged to another daughter of an affluent family. Thinking back now, Tony had already let go of the past. Mrs. Jones, I've said from the start that I'll pay you back. Marrying Linda was my own decision. You didn't force me. There's no need to feel guilty." Over the past few years, Mrs. Vera and her husband Linda's father, John Jones, had treated Tony really well. They knew that their daughter was spoiled and still had feelings for Michael, so they could only treat Tony as best as they could. They could tell that Tony was a smart young man. However, Michael came back to the country 6 months ago. No one expected that the first thing Michael did after returning to Lagos was to contact Linda. From then on, Linda began coming home late. Sometimes she would even stay out all night. The only explanation she had for her husband was that she was working overtime. It was a ridiculous excuse. Linda hadn't even bothered to come up with a good excuse. "Here's 600,000. I've contacted a university abroad for you. I know it was a pity that you weren't able to study for a master's degree back then. John and I will support you." Mrs. Vera had left before Linda came out of the bathroom. Tony didn't touch the bank card. He tidied the dining table up and then went to bed. "My mom came." Tony was already half asleep, so he just nodded. Linda snorted. "Stop accepting my mom's money. They'll think I'm mistreating you." After saying that, Linda threw something beside his pillow. Tony only saw what it was the next day. It was a bank card. What Linda said the previous night echoed in Tony's head. "Don't always stay at home. You've got the money, but you don't even know where to spend it. Go out and have some fun. Go visit your mom. I don't have time to go with you, so you can go by yourself." Tony went to visit his mother as he was told. He squatted down in front of the tombstone in silence for a while before reaching out to wipe the dust off it. He would never forget the smile that Shona had, just like the one in the picture in front of him. He then placed the card in front of the tombstone. "Mom, Linda's busy. You've only got me this time." However, Linda's always been generous. The tombstone couldn't talk, but even the wind seemed to feel sorry for Tony. "I've missed you, Mom. I'm about to get a divorce." And this is where the story ends for part 1. Please like this video, subscribe to Bed Stories channel, and watch out for part 2.